What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Door Bumper Clear. I'm Freddie Kraft, spotter for Bubba Wallace, coming off a fantastic day at Texas. What's up, Tommy?
Pretty much the same as you. Fantastic day in
Was
Texas.
it the same wreck? No, it was a couple
the
wrecks
next
later.
one, yeah. A lot of stuff was going on that backstretch yesterday.
Karsyn, I have to tell you, my father-in-law, Meg's dad, reached out to me and wanted me to tell you that you guys did a fantastic job the other day getting that event in. So how are you today?
We all had a similar weekend, I guess. Wasn't bad. Got rained on quite a bit, but we got 2 races in, so can't complain. And we had the pleasure of having today's guest with us this weekend at Ace Speedway. Rodney, how you doing? Welcome to DBC.
I'm doing good. Yeah, it was a lot of fun being there.
See, like anytime you end up in Victory Lane, it's always it always makes the trip a little more enjoyable. No,
It did for sure.
was that your son that was with you? I know I saw you said something. You know, the guy next to me in Victory Lane learned a lot today. How much does it mean to you to be able to go to racing with him now?
Yeah, it really does. Tommy knows this. Probably 10 years ago, I couldn't get him into racing to save my life. I think I did everything I could do to buy him this and that, and trying to get it started, and it just never happened. And now they've kind of turned into engine heads in a way, and they want to be around racing. So it was fun to have him with me all weekend. He was a little under the weather, so that didn't help, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I do have a bone to pick with you because me and Hirschman did the show here Monday, afternoon. We went to lunch at the Blue Parrot, and I ran into Rodney and his son's in there, and he gave me no heads up whatsoever because the next time I saw him, he was no longer where he was at anymore.
Well, I don't think he knew yet, Freddie. I mean,
I don't know.
Jesus Christ, the whole world doesn't revolve around you.
Well, I mean, just a little heads up would have been nice,
Well, if we don't know, we don't know.
I think it sounded
It
to
happened
me
Tuesday, not Monday. God almighty.
But I mean, we don't need to dive into it too much. But I know, obviously, big change this year. You hear some different stuff. Heard you last week talk about you kind of felt it coming. I heard Karsyn, host of our, say everybody kind of saw it coming. If you want to, touch on that a little bit. Your deal at Spire.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, something that you don't want to have to go through on both sides, and like I was saying last week, we had a good winter. Right? We really did. We had 3 brand new haulers. We rebuilt every car. The cars are super nice now, and just a ton of good people there. And it just wasn't clicking. It just wasn't working, and I wasn't really feeling it, and they weren't really feeling it, and I was, I'm just a hard-nosed racer, and I don't go around talking and all that. It's just racing for me, and I don't know. It just wasn't working.
Yeah, I mean, Tommy, I'm sure over your lengthy career, you've had similar instances where you go somewhere and you think it's going to be a great opportunity. It just, for whatever reason, doesn't work out.
Yeah, I mean, the atmosphere is set probably a little bit different than Rodney was used to, right? I mean, Rodney was always a hands-on guy, right? And called what needed to be on the cars and stuff. And when you got an engineering-based group, it changes a little bit. And unfortunately, guys like us, old school guys that worked 8-10 years old on our own race cars and building our own stuff, it's kind of hard sometimes to adapt to that. And sometimes people embrace that. Other times there's people that are afraid of their own jobs, and they kind of squash it, so to speak. So it's my feeling is the best worlds are the ones that collide on both of them. They both get along, the hard-nosed workers and the engineering group, and they work hard at something for the common goal. And sometimes you have a stronger headed group than others, and they prevail. And I learned the hard way at one place, and Rodney's going to be fine, right?
You think so?
The one thing I'm not worried about is Rodney, when it's all said and done, is he's going to be in a good place. He's going to be winning races again. He's too good at what he does. But I did tell him earlier before the show started, enjoy your time off. I didn't when I was in the same situation he was in, and it got to me and it bothered me. But go take your family, go have a nice vacation, go live it up, go enjoy the things that you never had a chance to enjoy, because our life has been like engulfed in this racing 24/7 for how many years, Rodney, have you been doing it?
A long time.
Yeah, 20, 30, probably 30 years on the road, right? So, man, I all the power to you. I wish you luck in the future, because you're gonna be fine.
So you had a successful driving career before getting into this. How difficult was it, and what made you kind of make that leap to go from driving to the crew chiefing side of things?
Yeah, I mean, the driving thing of it was the easy part for me, and even back then, I always felt like the reason I won races is I worked harder than everybody else. And, I'd show up with nicer go-karts. I would show up with nicer race cars. And some other people would probably argue the other side of that I was a better driver too. But, giving up racing was hard. Giving up driving was hard. I was kind of in that stage there was a few years there. I mean, hell, there was 50 cars showing up at those Busch races. And, I mean, it was hard to even think about getting a ride.
Yeah.
And, so I was able to run one Busch race at Myrtle Beach, and it didn't go great. It was in kind of a junk car, and probably shouldn't have done it. But, overall, I wasn't a guy that had money behind me or anything like that, and just it was finally time I needed a real job and needed to make real money.
Was there a particular offer that kind of made you say, I got to go down this path? Or?
No, not really. It was more of not having money than it was anything, being broke. I finally just, one of my buddies told me I need to go work for a cup team and I would move up quick. And I didn't really believe him at first. And then after I got my first cup job, I was like, oh my God, a lot of these guys don't really know as much as what I thought they did. And, it took a year and a half to go from the guy that never worked on a cup team to being the car chief. So, it's all went really fast for me, and I've been real fortunate throughout the years to win a lot of races and do a lot of things, and hopefully I can keep doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I think ideally you'd like to stay on the competition side. I mean, obviously, I'm sure you've got you'll end up with many offers on that side. TV, is that something you might be interested in, or you really want to be focused on staying on the competition side?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, everybody comes to a turning point in their life to where you have to think about everything, right? And I think this is one of those times. I was really fortunate to be with Kevin and to win a lot of races. And without Kevin, I don't know where I would have ended up, right? But, I still would have been on a cup team somewhere and working hard and doing the normal things. But, right now you have to look at everything. You have to figure it all out and see what comes next.
Yeah, judging by my Twitter replies last night, the Nine Nation will pay you whatever you want to go over there and kick Alan out, which I think you got to be really careful what you wish for, because Alan's pretty good, and I really don't think, I know their results aren't what they want right now, but I really don't think it's Alan is all of the problem over there. So just pipe down a little bit on that stuff.
Well, I mean, yeah, Alan's really good at what he does, but they've been together a long time, right? And a lot of these guys have been together a long time, and sometimes there might be a change. I mean, we all understand that. I mean, Alan understands that, and they've already made a change with the spotter a couple of years ago, right? Was trying to change things up, right? So you never know, man. I mean, that Mr. Hendrick, he's pretty
savvy.
Good. Yeah, he's pretty savvy on putting people in the right places and understanding that. So, I mean, this is a rough business right now, man. This is very competitive.
Yeah, and I think Alan's got the worst job, the hardest job.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I went through a few years with Kevin. Man, there's some people that are pretty hardcore. They're pretty harsh. I had the Iredell County Sheriff sitting in front of my house for like a week straight at one point.
Jeez.
So, I mean, it can be pretty crazy.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, and it's just so frustrating to read that. We have multiple run-ins with that fan base. Just we'll say anything even remotely critical about Chase, and it's like, you guys hate Chase. I'm like, oh my God, no, that's not the case.
How could you hate? First of all, how could you hate Chase?
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
Now they're going to say we're starting a rumor.
Yeah.
That
Well, no, I just hired Rodney on the 9. Just don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
Just a couple $1 million, you'll be fine.
Well, how was Texas for you guys? And Did you have so much fun, Freddie?
Yeah, it was awesome watching half the race. I mean, I
he
watched
looked
the
like
whole
a
race.
lost puppy. He was sitting in the bench. He had this sad face on. I looked back at him a couple times. You okay? Yeah, I'm all right.
For us, it was just kind of one of them days where we didn't fire off great. We were kind of hanging around 10th, 12th, 13th, something like that, and just kind of slowly, methodically picked our way off. We were ones that put 4 tires on every time, and we were just able to take advantage of those longer runs and get ourselves to, I think we finished 5th in the second stage, and then we just had a pit stop where we were the one picked on top of us for some reason, and we just got in a position where it was, we stopped and the 1 was coming around us, the 7 was coming around the 1, so everybody kind of gets stacked on top of each other there, and he kind of boxed us in a little bit, and it cost us maybe 1 or 2 spots and put us in the top row versus the bottom, and like a domino effect, it just, Bubba got, in a position where we were, the 22 was right up our ass. 22 did nothing wrong. He just he's fighting for every inch on the restart there, especially late in the race. And we just got tied off at 2 and just clipped the wall, and the 22 was on our bumper and turned us down into the rest of the crowd. But yeah, just unfortunate ending. Another, it's kind of been the story of our season, really. Either get good runs or we have good speed and we don't get the finish we deserve. So it's unfortunate, but those are the breaks. And Bubba seemed again yesterday. He got out of the car, did his Cater Center interview. He's laughing and joking around. Seemed fine on the plane last night. So back in the day, that might have been a setback. But I think that we'll just come back stronger this week.
Yeah, I mean, believe it or not, those pit stalls are small compared to most on 1.5 miles, and I know everybody's going to be studying today and tomorrow, but everybody who had a opening gained spots, and it was a weird qualifying day because, like what you said, the one car didn't have many pit choices.
He was 31st,
right? So he just ended up there, and I know we were going back and forth with the 20 car all day trying to figure out how to help them because they were behind us and they knew we were going to box them in, and we did twice. I mean, we probably lost them a total of probably 15 to 20 spots all day long on pit road because of it. There's nothing we could do. I mean, the only thing we could have done is come around the second time, but we're trying to gain spots as well. So they understood that, but the pit road there, and is pretty tight.
How much that's the emphasis on qualifying, right? I mean, you guys go into the weekend knowing basically a ranking of the pit boxes, I would assume, and just qualifying. I mean, how important is qualifying just for that alone? Sometimes you're talking about, the different, we didn't get the top. Us being 9th versus chasing them being in the 20s is just a huge difference. Like you said, you're just losing spots.
Yeah, every week I would just count the openings before we ever left the shop. And I'm like, all right, there's 14 chances here. We need to be in the top 14 in qualifying, Because, that's where you gain your spots right now. I mean, if you can gain spots on pit road, and like you said, if you end up in a different lane because of that, and then you got the bump off of turn 4 that if you have to start on the top, you're tiptoeing through there. It's just a lot of things, but man, qualifying is so important right now.
I thought Cody was doing a pretty solid job all weekend. I know he just got I seen Kyle even apologize for just kind of running him over down the back there when somebody, I guess they just started wrecking in front of you guys.
Yeah, I mean we were decent all weekend. We just fighting track position again. Our pit road spot was bad as well, and there was no chance all day long for us to gain any track position. We couldn't even. There was one time we were talking about just doing 2 tires, but we would only gain. We would have been. Most guys were putting 2 on, and they end up in the top 8, right? And could fight their way to maybe fall back to maybe 20th, but 20th was better than 30th, right? We would have come out 25th, and we would have ended up back where we were. But we stayed on the lead lap up until the wreck. The 9 car, they tried putting 2 on, or I don't know if they put any on at that time, and they went right to the back. So, they would have shucked Cody out for sure, right? Because they don't have much patience for him yet. But, I know you made a comment last night, but I thought it was a really good race. There were so many comers and goers. There was a lot of pit strategy. A lot of guys gambled. The 45 put on a clinic. The first stage,
for sure,
and I know they were fighting Cody for trying to get him a lap down, and it all got bunched up. And I guess the 2 car forgot there was 2 lanes. I don't know what was going on there, and but I thought it was a good race.
Yeah, I didn't have really a problem with the race. It's just we'll get into the track more, but it's just you see stuff happening on these restarts. Like we talked, you see Hocevar just make another mistake and stuff Priest in the fence just off of 2 there. John Hunter and Bell are getting into it just because you're fighting. The track is so fast and so narrow that you have to fight for every damn inch, and that's why we see these late race wrecks is because it's just but we'll get into it more with the racetrack. But you look at the Hocevar deal.
That has nothing to do with a racetrack. I don't even know why you even mention a racetrack with Hocevar. I mean, that's just Hocevar doing Hocevar things. I mean,
and then he just gets he gets out of the car and he's just like, it's not like, I mean, he did take blame, but it was like, I just didn't expect him to get there. Well, but he did. So now you can't just run the guy in the fence because he got outside of you. It's just, I know it's a tough aero spot, but and then I didn't even see. What was the deal with Bell and Nemechek?
I just think Bell was just aggravated because Nemechek did the right thing. I don't think Nemechek did anything wrong. I mean, everybody was trying to bottom shot everybody getting into 3. There was one chance that, each driver probably had to drive it in really deep and hoping that guy would lift and move up. Well, if you didn't lift and move up, you were getting a bunch of air on your nose and you were going to have issues. So I didn't really think there was anything that John Hunter did wrong there. I mean, it was end of the race, and again, guarantee you, Christopher Bell was aggravated all day of what he was having to deal with on pit road and fighting back where he ended up. I don't even know where he ended up. I think he finished in the top 10, right? But yeah,
I think if you were rolling at the end, you probably finished in the top 10.
Yeah.
But John Hunter's one that for me, he's kind of like he's similar to like a Ross, where he's just not going to give you an inch, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's just how everybody races now. We got outside of him. He was on 2 tires, and we were on 4, and we got outside of him, and he just raced us to death for like 2 laps, and it's aggravating, but you can't get mad at it, And I think that's the point. That's just something that if he's willing to race like that, he's going to have to deal with some of these conversations afterwards.
Yeah, but. That play yesterday ended up letting him finish where he finished because that was he was running back with us. He was in the 30s up until that point, and he fought hard for that run. And I'm up there a lot, obviously, and I watch John Hunter. I mean, obviously we've known him since he was since he was born. But he's kind of almost doing the same exact. Not almost the same, pretty close to the same things he did last year, but last year he was getting wrecked and wrecking. This year, he's getting lucky and it's not happening, right? The wrecks aren't happening. So, I think he got a well-deserved finish yesterday, and Eric Jones did too. I mean, he came from the back to the front, I think, 2 or 3, well, 3 times.
Twice, yeah.
3 times. He was probably the only car that did that,
Yeah, because I noticed early in the race he was up there just raw speed racing with us, probably around 10th. He passed us at one point, I think, and then he was going to ride. He maybe even got stage points in that first stage, and then got a penalty. Then there was a team penalty. I think he sped the first time. Then it was a team penalty or something. But yeah, 2 or 3 times. But every time you look back, he was right back out, just outside the top 10, and then late. I think I said something to you on the roof yesterday about like, damn, Jones is back in the top 5 already. So it's interesting. Rodney, how tough is it for you now? Watching these races,
man,
I see you tweet about having anxiety and you're not even involved.
And I felt horrible yesterday. I tweeted something about Josh, and then he wrecked like 5 laps later. I'm like, I'm not saying another word the rest of the day. But yeah, the 2-tire stuff stood out a lot yesterday. I mean, I was wondering how that was going to go there at the beginning of the race, and man, it opened up so many opportunities, and that's kind of what you need in this kind of racing right now. You need guys to be able to put on 2 and some to put on 4 and have comers and goers and those kinds of things. So I thought it was a good race. I mean, there's always things that could be better, but it is so different watching it at home. I had like 3 or 4 screens in front of me watching all kinds of different stuff, and everybody's in-car cameras on max, and but it's a different perspective for sure.
And listen, Logano, I mean, this guy finds a way to win all these, every
oddball
races.
You get him sniffing, it's over, man. I mean, it's just
I liked what he said after the race when he said, I grinded it out, because that's what Kevin did every week, and I think some people have learned that over the years, like Joey. I think it's done a lot of good. There was quite a few years there. Them two were flying together a lot, and and they got to be friends after being enemies. They became friends, and that's what they did. That team just grinded it out all day. There wasn't a scratch on the car. They did the right things at the right time and put themselves in position.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin had that nickname, the closer, for the longest time, and it wasn't just because he just flipped a switch at the end of the race and gained a bunch of speed. It was just because he was there to capitalize every time somebody, people would make mistakes or whatever. And that's what every time anything we do that's different, or some kind of we have a big shit show at the end or something. Look at last year, was it Nashville? We had all those green white checkers. Joey ends up winning that race. Yesterday we have all these wrecks at the end of the race. Joey ends up in position to win that one when he definitely Larson and Blaney, I thought at the end of the race were probably the two fastest cars. 45 was really good as well. But just Joey just finds a way to the lead, and then you're not passing him once he gets to the lead.
At the end of the day, the 12 car, the 22 car, they had patience all day. They would just get 5 a run, right? It was like 5 spots a run, 6 spots a run, and got themselves in a spot. But at the end of the day, the 22 team ended up getting all the adjustments where they needed, right? The 5 car was strong. Some happened there the last probably 100 laps, right? They ended up struggling a little bit. 45 the same. They were hit and miss. I mean, it was a hard race to probably call to get the adjustments right. I mean, it's just you're playing with dirty air, right? You're not sure if it's the adjustments that are affecting it or the cars that are in front of you that are affecting your handling. So for a crew chief, right, how hard is that?
It's super hard. I was listening to the 5, pretty much the whole race, and Kyle felt like he was pretty good, but, I think Cliff felt like they needed to stay on top of it and keep freeing it up, because they thought it was going to get tighter there at the end. And, without the restart and losing the lead, I don't know how it would have worked out, but it's just so tough. I think those guys that, like the 22, like you said, they worked on it all day and they made it better and better and better. And you just don't know that. If you're just leading the race all day, it's so hard to get behind.
That's what I was waiting for you to say. Because
it's so hard.
Yep, because the 22 was in traffic most of the race, so they got a chance to work through that. Once the 5 car fell back to 3rd or 4th, they were back in that dirty air again, so they fell behind on, I think on their adjustments. So, yeah.
You saw that yesterday. Well, the 2 car was a perfect example. At the whole first stage, he's up there leading or top 2. And then I don't know if they had a bad pit stop or just a cycle, whatever it happened, but he ended up mid-pack, and I saw him get a little high in 1 and 2, loose ground, and then he was like in the 20s, and then you never saw him again until they put 2 on, and then they would fade again. But it's so crazy. I remember with Bubba, I forget where it was, maybe Kansas or somewhere like Kansas. We were really good, strong, coming through the field, hauling ass, drive from like 7th or 8th to the lead, and got to the lead, and he's like, I'm wrecking free now, and it's like, oh. You just that little bit of clean air, and it's like, oh man. So yeah, to that point, it's crazy. Your boy, Magnificent Mike, pulled another one out of his ass.
Yeah, Magic Mike did it again, man. He's running 35th right in front of us. Well, behind us, the first 30 laps. Next thing you know, Magic Mike pulls it out of his hat again, man.
Mike Kelly, we've been talking about him all year. And listen, I mean, if you would have told me at race, whatever we are, 11, 12, almost a third of the way through the year, that Ricky Stenhouse would be plus 12 on the cut line right now, I would have told you you're insane.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, they got, Mike, I think, told me they got 25 employees over there. I mean, they're doing it.
Yep.
I mean, they're doing. They talk about a group of racers too. Like those guys over there, Mike Kelly, Travis Young, 2 of my good buddies. Travis is the car chief. My buddy Joey Parker's over there. I know some of those guys, but I mean, that's just a group of racers that are just getting it done right now and finding a way. Really, I mean, it's unbelievable.
And I think it has stood out to me that their cars look a lot nicer this year too. I mean, like we all pay attention to that stuff, when they're rolling through tech and stuff, and they've got nice cars right now.
Yeah, for sure. Another damn beer toast this week. I mean, you guys. It's like every week you guys are getting drunk at lunch over here.
It's so nice. We were just telling the car store officials, Kip and I were like, we really like Mondays at work right now because we eat well, we get to drink, and I was just thinking it's Cinco de Mayo. We should have had margaritas today on this.
I'm glad we didn't do
show.
that. But yeah, Larson obviously just once he gets out front, he waxes everybody again at the end of that thing.
You know what? I don't even care about out front. It's just the way he drove the runs. How patient he was letting the car come to the laps. It sounds weird, but a lot of guys would charge, right? They have a loose car, but lap 15 they were out of control loose, right? He would just hang out, wait for the track to come to the car a little bit. It sounds backwards, but that's what he was doing. Then all of a sudden, next thing you know, he's a half a second faster than the field. Yeah. So Kyle did Kyle things right there, the feeling of the car. And I'm watching the race. I'm like, how does he feel that, right? How does he know when to go, right? How does he do it?
Yeah.
It's what makes him one of the
looked
best.
like he was real patient into turn 3 too,
Yeah.
and like he would figure out the entry part of turn 3, so he made the straightaway longer on the front, and like that's where all of his speed was getting off of 4 and down the front, and he was just killing them.
I mean, next thing you know, he was on the outside ripping around people. It's like, well, here he goes. It's over.
The thing that's most impressive to me about him, and especially in that car, is you can't defend him. Like you know what he's going to do, and you can't defend it. Because he's either going to, like late in that race when they kind of had the split strategy where he came out of the pits, I think 8th, and there were some guys that stayed out. He's going to the top of 1 and 2. He's going to rip around the top of 1 and 2, and you either can't get up there, or so the first restart I think he drove from like 8th to 3rd basically. I thought he was going to take the lead into 3, but he kind of blew the entry to 3 a little bit and washed up and let some guys go underneath him. Where a lot of guys probably would have wrecked in that situation if they get it that high. And Kyle just didn't try to drive through it. He just said, all right, I got up too high. Let these 2 guys go get back in line. So now he's 4th on the next restart. And they did. Whoever it was, I forget if it was the 48 or somebody who was on the outside of the front row, was like, all right, I know he's going to the top, so I'm going to take it away from him. So he tried to take it away, and Kyle just blasts through the middle and tries by all him again. I'm like, you can't defend against this guy.
I don't know. What do you think? But I think even if they didn't come in, they were going to win the race, right? I mean,
Man, I was cringing that whole thing. I told the boys, I'm like, there's no way I would pit right here with him. And just, stay.
How hard is that, Rodney? Being the leader with 3 to go, 4 to go, and a worn-out racetrack, and you win a whole run on time. How hard is that decision? Like, the feeling.
I think it's even harder at home because you don't have all the details. You're sitting there looking at these screens, and you're like, man, I don't even know. Like, how many cars on the lead lap?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what I would do here, but it is extremely hard. We went through quite a bit of that, throughout the years, and
you're just praying you're dragging everybody down, right?
Or at least, you like a half, like that was probably, I mean, he probably would have still without those cautions, but if he's got to go any further back than that, it's going to be that much harder. If he's 12th or 14th or something like that, if he pits and everybody stays out, because that's what I would have done. Probably that's our only chance of beating this guy is to do the exact opposite of him,
for sure.
But who else? I want to talk about somebody else. I can't remember. Oh, Sanchez. That kid's got speed this year.
He really does.
I mean, that I don't know what happened at the end. I know he got high off of 2 late and then lost a bunch of track position. But he's got a lot of speed in that thing, and he's not getting the finishes I don't think he deserves. But that thing's been fast all year.
Yeah, I mean, I think if they come and put tires on as well, they finish 1st or 2nd because Sanchez is an aggressive driver right on restarts. I think that would have changed probably the race outcome a little bit, but. In that group, you had a lot of wrecked race cars, right? You had the Sammy Smith, right? You had the Mayer even had damage, right? So there's a lot of air movement going on there. But I thought that was a good race. Can we talk about your show guy again?
We're gonna get to him at spot on, spot off. I'd imagine
we've got a special section carved out for that one.
I can't read. So.
Yeah, we know.
We can. That's
You
a
ready?
good segue, Karsyn.
Yeah, let's roll into some spot on, spot off.
Short tracks, short tempers, and $1 million on the line. The NASCAR All-Star Race roars back to North Wilkesboro Speedway. May 15th through the 18th with all the racing, fighting, and partying you could ask for rolled into a 5/8-mile bull ring. It's one of the best tickets in racing, and it's one of NASCAR's most iconic tracks.
In just the first 3 days, you've got 2 ZMAX Cars Tour races, the Pit Crew Challenge presented by Mechanics Wear, All-Star Heat races, and the Window World 250 Craftsman Truck Series race.
And if that ain't enough, how about the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour on All-Star Sunday, just before the Cup Boys lock horns in the open, trying to make the show in the biggest All-Star event in sports.
There's never been an All-Star race weekend like this. Get your tickets today at northwilkesborospeedway.com.
Military personnel, first responders, law enforcement, teachers, and other government service personnel can save on tickets thanks to GovX. Visit northwilkesborospeedway.com for details.
All right. Topic 1. The infield grass claimed several victims throughout the weekend. Should the infield grass be turf? Spot on, spot off. Tommy.
I don't know, man. We've been talking about that since the place was built in '97, right? It's just, I don't know, back before they used to destroy cars, you used to knock grass into everybody's grill, and we used to overheat and have to pit, right? So now it's just knocking the hell out of race cars and getting them wrecked. But what do? You pave it, and they're all going to go down there, right? You put rumple strips, they're going to hit the rumple strips and wreck. What do you do to fix it? I don't even know.
Yeah. I think this kind of goes back to me, and I it's like the Coda deal we talked about. It's like track limits, obviously I think a lot of it is obvious experience because we didn't see a lot of it on Sunday. We saw one instance, I think, where, Suarez had to hold the grass line, and Reddick kind of was trying to get an angle to one, and they kind of just met in the middle and got Reddick turned. But that, but he did that because he knew he couldn't drive through that grass. Yeah. And, I see a couple of guys clipping. I don't know, Rodney, you could tell me this. Like, are the Cup cars built a little bit differently to where they can maybe clip that a little bit better and not do as much damage as the other two? Series?
Yeah, with this next gen car, the splitter wants to be higher instead of lower. So, and it's rounded, and it's just worst case scenario with those trucks and Xfinity cars. They dig in like a shovel, and especially after a big rain like that. So,
well, by the time the Cup race had a nice hole in it.
Yes.
But Gio, just didn't know, right? That was his first laps, basically on a racetrack. It's just hard to. And I thought the Xfinity one happened from the outside, I thought. I don't think it was caused by the inside guys. I think the outside guys just crowded them so much. It just moved that whole lane down.
That's how I felt,
and I felt bad for Josh Williams because he had no clue what he was talking about in the post-race on what happened. I'm like, dude, you watch the replay and see what you did. I was like, the things that he said, I'm like, oof.
I didn't even see it.
Oh, Lord.
But, yeah, it's just – and what happens is I think, especially on the restarts is – you get to shade and left. You can't see anything in the car, through the car in front of you. So you get to shade and left. And I think that's why you always see it's like usually the second or third guy in line because he's shading left to the guy in front of him. And then they realize, oh, I'm in the grass and it's too late. And then you're like Dean for us, we had talked about it coming to green. I'm like, be mindful of that grass line because that was the first time we restarted on the bottom. I'm like, it'll bite you. And I think it was Karsyn Quapple. Like, we just followed him through there. He went that way, we went that way, and we just followed him through. So you just get in the habit of, following the guy in front of you or even trying to shade left a little bit to be able to see the entry to one, and then now you're in a bad spot. But as far as remedies, I don't know, because we talked about this on here with the blocks at Coda, when they took those blocks out because, they just went back to enforcing track limits by, however they wanted to do it in the booth. I hate to see innocent bystanders, really. And that's, I don't mind, like, if Gio wrecks himself there, all right, well, you up, you should have been on the racetrack. But now you've got the 45 wrecked, the ones wrecked, all because of somebody else's mistake. And that's that bothers me. So I'm always on the opinion, like, I want it to be like that because make these guys stay on the racetrack. But at the end of the day, I feel like you got to do something to help it so where you're not just destroying race cars all the time and collecting guys that have nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I think if they cut a straight line across, kind of like where Gio hit, and paved that part, it'd probably help a little bit.
I think that, if they just turf it like Charlotte, I would think would help a lot, right?
As soon as they turfed it at Charlotte, it fixed all the issues.
Yeah. It's just, it's
you got to do a lot of drain work if they do that too, because, again, Charlotte did a lot of drain work when they did all that. So,
we repaved this place so it'll dry, and it took forever to dry on Friday. Like, we were scrapped the whole Xfinity practice and qualifying because it
so
took
damp.
an extra hour to dry.
And it would stop and start raining again. It was just
one thing that stood out to me was when it first came on TV, I guess Friday or Saturday, I was like, man, the track's white.
Yeah.
Like, did it seem like it had changed colors that much, or did the TV
brighter.
make it look
more
that
wore
way?
out? No, it looked more wore out.
It was weird yesterday you say that because before the race, I never wear sunglasses when the roof, and a lot of guys do. I just, for like with the binoculars and everything, I just can't do it. And I was like squinting. I'm like, why do I feel like everything's brighter here? But now you say that, it's like makes a lot of sense. But yeah, it was. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the remedy is. I think turf would probably be the best remedy. But like you said, then you give us an inch, we're taking a mile. We'll be using it to our advantage. You'll be shortcutting it, trying to drive through there. So then you'll be about track limits, and we'll just start the whole process all over again.
All right. Justin Allgaier says, it falls on my shoulders regarding the on-track incident with Kris Wright. Freddie, I'm going to let you take this one.
Listen, I'm spot on for Justin taking some blame in this because at the end of the day, he ran in the back of the guy. But
come on,
how long are we going to let this guy drive around?
The guy should even get his driver's license revoked. Come on, man. Did you see the amount of lanes he took? He doesn't even understand where he is.
This same scenario happened just before the pit stops when the Larson and Justin had to split him in 3 and 4 because he kind of ran the middle and then he faded towards the top, and Larson had to get up and go around him and kind of get out of the groove a little bit. But it's just
pull him in. Just pull him in and I mean, he has no clue. And look, at the end of the day, the 7 car really shouldn't even been there, right? That wreck happened 4 laps before that when they decided to stay out and try to pass all those lap cars. They lost a good 3-4 seconds on Kyle, not only because Kyle pitted before that they did, but when he got stuck behind those cars. So all reality, I know what Justin's saying, but probably shouldn't have been there. Probably should have been probably almost a half a straightaway ahead at that point. But come on, man.
Yeah, I think that wreck starts because Justin is pressing harder than he needs to be, trying to make up the difference that they lost to Larson. But I thought Landon Castle had a really good tweet yesterday after this happened, and it's something that advice I give to guys that I think are going to be in that position, and it's just commit to a lane. I don't give a which lane it is. Don't end up in the middle where we're trying to split you. But if for a spotter, if I know you've been on the bottom all day, as we're approaching, I can tell Bubba, all right, this guy's been down on the bottom all day, or he's in the middle or on the top or whatever it is. But at least if you're committed to a lane, we know how to get around you. But like this guy, you're coming up on him and you don't even know what to tell your driver. So I mean, is that the best advice? Just commit to a lane and stay there.
No matter how slow you have to go, how much you have to slow down, you cannot be in 2 different lanes in one corner. You just have to run the bottom or you have to run the top.
Literally, if you just take the bottom or take the top, none of this happens. We will be able to figure out a way around you.
I think looking at that, the crew chief needs to worry about handling. Because, I mean, he went in the corner and he got a little loose, and that's how he shot up the racetrack a little bit.
I forget who it was.
Almighty.
It was somebody in the Cup Series. I can't remember who it was, but I told Bubba we were coming up on him, and I'm like, all right, we're like probably 10, 20 car lengths back. And I said, all right, he starts on the bottom and ends up on the top.
You almost caused a Kris Wright deal yesterday. What the hell were you doing?
What do you mean? When their car wouldn't run?
I mean, why don't you just come down pit road?
Because it fired back up and then it shut back off.
At 3 mile an hour in front of the field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you're going to just come down pit road because your car's running?
You're multiple laps down already.
Okay.
Jesus.
You would have come down pit road. You're so full of You are so full of Oh, yeah. Come down pit road for no reason.
Your lap's down.
Who cares?
Pull it in.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Did you not pull it in anyway?
Yeah, because it broke again.
Okay.
Pull down pit road. Oh, this was hysterical. Somebody went. Was this you, Tommy? This might have been you.
No, I don't know how to do any of that.
Yeah,
no
please
kidding.
be so for real. Tommy doesn't know how to work Wikipedia.
So somebody went on this guy's Kris Wright's Wikipedia and put competes in quotes. They edited it. So he said he competes in
Full time.
What's the olive juice?
I don't. Where the hell is that? You're probably reading ads on the other side.
Olive juice.
I don't see olive juice. Oh,
Kris
it's the person that posted it.
Oh, I didn't know if that was his new nickname or something.
But the fact that they wrote competes in quotes is pretty funny for me. But I mean, I feel bad for the guy because he's going to get about this, but the problem is he also puts himself in this position sometimes because I forget where it was. Him and Balicki had been going into it, and then he posts a picture of it like, look here, Balicki, look what you did. And the video clearly showed Kris caused that wreck too. And it's like, oh man, just back her down, try to get better, maybe stay off social media.
Get somebody to help, man. If he's struggling, get somebody to help.
You could help him.
Well, the thing
I wouldn't have the patience for him.
The thing that is driving me crazy, again, and TJ was taking the blame for it for some reason. TJ Bell does his deal now, and I don't know why, because I didn't go back and listen to see what TJ was saying, but again, you can't change lanes, and I don't know if TJ was telling him to change lanes, and yes, it's TJ's fault, but I can't imagine he was saying, go in there on the bottom and move to the top as the leaders are coming. But, you're already on your second spotter. You're, like at some point you're going to have to look in the mirror and try to fix the common denominator.
All right, we'll leave Kris Wright alone for a little bit.
Well, I'm sure we're going to bring him up again at some point.
I'm sure we will. We still haven't gotten to show Hall of Fame yet.
Hey everyone, Dirty Mo Media and Door Bumper Clear are excited to tell you about our great new partner, American Financing.
American Financing is licensed in all 50 states, and they are a family-owned mortgage lender that's been around for 25 years.
They've helped hundreds of thousands of homeowners create meaningful savings.
With all the uncertainty in the economy today, you want to know you're in good hands when you're considering an important financial decision like buying a house or refinancing. Their mortgage consultants are salary-based, so there's no incentive for them to put you in a loan that doesn't make sense.
American Financing customers save an average of $800 a month, and they don't charge any upfront or hidden fees to find out how much you can save.
You may be able to close in as fast as 10 days, and you also may be able to delay up to 2 mortgage payments by refinancing, creating more savings up front if you need it.
American Financing has helped hundreds of thousands of homeowners create meaningful savings, and it's reflected in their reviews on Google.
Call today at 866-889-5022. That's 866-889-5022 or AmericanFinancing.net/door. Michael McDowell and the 71 team made a 2-tire call on the final stop of the day to put themselves in position to win. Spot on, spot off. Rodney.
That was pretty good. Michael's been one of my favorite guys in the garage for a long time, and honestly, working with Michael and Travis over the last little bit was pretty awesome. They have a great team. They really do. And so when they did that, I'm like, man, this might not work, but it might. And it was pretty neat to see. And it wasn't far from working out. That would have been a huge deal for everybody on that team. So, like I said earlier, the 2-tire thing worked better all day than really what I thought it was going to, especially after seeing the track was that white, to start the weekend. So, it was ballsy, but it almost worked out.
I think the biggest thing was, like you said, 2 tires worked, and it worked really well for, what would you say, 30 laps, 25, 30 laps, and then you start to see a little bit of that fade. The 4 tires would kind of overcome it late, and that's what I was worried about, because I think they did this with, 40 to 50 to go, and I was like, ooh, that's a ballsy call, but I think there's too many laps for it to work unless you get some run, and unless you get exactly what happened, where we didn't really run green much of that 40 laps, or you get a 20-lap run where you don't fall up many spots, and then you come on and put 4 on and race everybody heads up. But it was just that was the call. And when you're in that position, I'll ask you guys this: they didn't have nothing to lose. They're running mid-pack at that point, probably 10, 15.
No, they were worse than that.
You're really.
Yeah.
I thought I saw you gain 15 spots when he did.
I wasn't even sure how he got that far back, because he had a decent car in the first half
did
of the
he have a
race, and then
penalty?
all of a sudden I looked, he
did have a penalty.
I think he had a penalty.
He had a penalty. Yeah. But that's the thing for you guys is like, how hard is that call to make, where you're racing all day, you got speed, but now I'm not going to beat these guys heads up. I've got to do something different. When does that start coming into your mind? Is it early in the race? Is it late? When does that start to, and when's the right time to make that flip?
I think you got to be on the same page to begin with.
Yeah.
And I think those two always are. And, and the driver has to be bought into that. And, if the driver's bought into it and he's willing to try to make it work, then do it.
Yeah, and plus they were up front in the beginning, so they knew they had the car capable of running up front, and if you can pick up that many positions and get the cleaner air, it's a lot easier.
I know, and we talked about this a minute ago, but and how hard is it to be on the other side of that, where you're Larson yesterday or the 12, there's going to be guys here. 40 was out. I probably didn't expect a lot of guys to do 4 at 2 at 40 out. But if that caution comes out at 20 to go, what are you doing? There's probably a lot of guys that are doing 2. How do you make that decision, on the box?
I think a majority would have did 2, and I don't think it would have played out, as the same. I think the 77 hurt themselves all day by taking 4, because after every stop they were -2. -3, -2. Next thing you know, they're 8th. Now they're in that dirty air where, he was a solid top 5, top 6 car all day. So ending up being in that position, kind of put him in a spot where he had to, be a little bit more aggressive be his normal aggressiveness that he is, and got himself in a little bit of trouble there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked like just from what I heard, the 77 was a lot tighter on 2 tires, and just every time they put 2 on, he just couldn't really pass anybody because the front was so bad. But some other guys could put 2 on and make it work and still turn. So, I think it just really depends on your car and what you got going on.
Yeah, because to that point, we were put 4 on all day, and it benefited us.
Yeah.
We would lose, like you said, we'd lose 3 or 4 spots, but we would pass the first run. We weren't good enough to pass. Reddick passed us, and then drove
Reddick
up to.
passed a lot of people.
He was going to win the stage if the yellow doesn't come out before the end of the stage. I don't think he ended up second, probably. We didn't have that capability at that point. We were kind of stuck, and Bubba was getting frustrated with not really frustrated, but just saying I'm stuck. I don't have the car to get through the traffic like Tyler did at that point. He goes, I need to do a better job myself, and we need to have a little more capability. But then as the car got better, we were able to now pick off all of the 2-tire guys on long. If we had to run longer than 30 laps, we were able to drive up there like we did in the second stage. So it's, again, to Rodney's point, I think it's just what your car's capable of and how much capability you have to pass. Which
how
was,
the cautions fall, how lucky you get. I mean, it's just,
it's all part.
That's
of
why
it.
I thought it was a good race, man. There was a lot of different storylines going on.
My only problem with like the race yesterday was, and it's and it gets better as the race goes on. But we fire off the beginning of the race, and it's just. I told Bubba, I said, it's the same car gap. It's the same 3 or 4 car lengths between every car from 3rd to 15th. And it's just you're kind of stuck there.
Yeah. Then when tire wear came into play,
I think the biggest thing is the strategy. Like Rodney said earlier, like we need to have races where there's guys going to be willing to do 2 tires because that's where you get the passing. Like I think if we just all bolted 4 on all day long, it would have been an awful race. But the ability to take 2 and have that fall off and have guys fall off harder than others creates a better race.
Yeah, Karsyn, you even here today? You gonna
Hi, Karsyn.
say anything?
What? I was getting ready
Karsyn,
to
you're doing a great
give
job.
you
Yeah.
your next topic. I
Tell
don't
him
have any opinions on this. I was busy this weekend. Texas produced 10 natural cautions and caused trouble for many drivers on the corner exits of turns 2 and 4. Tommy, spot on, spot off.
Yeah, I mean, spot on. I mean, Texas is probably one of the most difficult racetracks that we race on for that reason. I mean, turn 2 is always very tight. It flattens out, so you lose your balance there, and then you got the bump in 4, which ended up biting. I think the 21, the 8,
19,
the 19. So, yeah, if you just got up there a little too high and you pounced the gas, you were going around.
Rodney, how much is car related, like setup related, or because you see one from every manufacturer basically do yesterday, so it's not. That side of things.
Like with the old car, we would all die to have more bumps and,
we weren't riding on 4,000, 5,000 pound springs back then.
Anything you could do to have more content in the track, man, we were all about it, And now with this new car, I mean, if you're going to race somebody through 3 and 4 and you're going to be up there, I mean, either the bump needs to go away or something with the car needs to change to where it's not bobbing out all the time. And there was guys that were lower than others. I mean, I was listening to Josh and he was complaining about the bump even when he was running the bottom, and he just, once he got up there, it just got away from him. But it's just part of what what we're doing right now, what we live with and the way the rules are. And, the only way you can make the car go faster is lower it down. So, that's the price you pay.
How bad did you and I feel about Rowdy Nation?
Oh, man, me and Tommy were up there. I've never cheered for them so much in my life. We were thinking people were going to get lucky last night. Kyle got to 2nd or 3rd, wherever it was, and so last week all the callers called in and they were a little backed up because Kyle hasn't won. Yeah, so I'm like, Tommy, it might be the night. I said I was going to go right to Neil and be like, he better thank his fans, man. You better.
I was waiting for
I bet you that's the first thing Kyle thought about. Oh my God!
Yeah,
poor Rowdy Nation.
I'm sure as he was spinning down the hill, not holding the brake, by the way, which I think he would have lost his mind on somebody if they didn't do that. But I think he was just trying to get the hell out of the way. But he ended up almost clipping Stenhouse. I mean, is it just? It seems to me like it's just kind of like Russian roulette over there, where it's, you got late in the runs, you kind of got to move up there to make speed. Like Reddick was making me nervous yesterday because he was about as high as I was willing to watch somebody go, let alone, and he was right there. But it's such a fine line of you get, a foot too high above that black, and it's over. It's not even.
So every one of them started with an issue getting into the corner. They ended up there because they struggled getting in, and they went in a little bit. So the 21, we were on the bottom there, and the 21 was getting ready. Well, he was probably about 5-6 car lengths from lapping us, but he just went in. I saw it. He went in high. All of a sudden, he carried a little higher. You could see hit that bump, and he was around. Yeah. Same as the 19. He got in the rough stuff.
19 got knocked up there by Priest. Priest got a little. We were 3 wide into 3. We were on the bottom, and Priest just kind of got free and chased it up and didn't do anything wrong. Just chased it up into him. Just dorsed him a little bit and knocked the 19 just a little high, and it was over. But it's so crazy. It's over. As soon as you hit it, there's no like, I'm going to save it and drive out of this. It's you hit it and you're backwards before you even know it. So, we'll get into. Go ahead, Karsyn, let's take us to the next topic because I think this is.
Oh, because it goes with what you're about to say?
Yeah.
All right. Texas is slowly getting better since the repave in 2017. Go ahead, Freddie. Spot on, spot off.
Well, that wasn't what I thought it was going to be.
Oh.
I thought it was going to be, do we want to repave?
I was just sitting here thinking, I thought it was really good in 17, 18, 19, 20.
Yeah.
I bet you loved every one of them. My biggest problem with the racetrack is we just don't use half of it. Like, I felt like back before, I know we repaved it because of the fact that it wouldn't dry, and if it rained, we were there for 3 days. But I felt like we at least could use the racetrack back then. You could run, you have options, you had different lanes, and I think that it would be better racing. Like I said, if we just put 4 on all day yesterday, the racing would have been awful. But
we didn't.
But I think that if I just want to get to a racetrack where you can use, because you can't pass if you're just heads up with somebody on the same strategy as you, because it's so narrow and it's so fast that it's once I thought the 12 was much better than the 22 yesterday, but once the 22 passed him, I said the race is over.
No, the 22 it was better than the 12 by then. He
I
was turning a little bit better.
But you saw this with all these guys were racing their asses off for second behind the 71 because they knew all they needed to do was get to second, and then they could drive up and pass the 71, and they were going to win the race. The 5 and the 45 damn near took each other out in 3 and 4 to get the 12 and the 22 into position, because they knew that they both had to overdrive 3, or Larson kind of overdrove 3 and carried Tyler up the hill. But they're both doing that because they know if they come out of that deal second, they're going to be the one that has the best chance to go run the 71 down and go by them like the 22 did. But it's just because they know if whoever gets in front of that group is not going to get past again, so it's just, I don't know. I don't like that. I mean, I'll tell you one thing, I would prefer what we do now over the idea of taking it to another Atlanta style racetrack. I don't want any part of that.
No.
But I don't know. I mean, you're pretty happy with it. So you want to just leave it alone?
Well, I don't think it's the car, because if it was just the car, the trucks and Xfinity.
I'm talking about the track.
Can you let me finish my story? The trucks and Xfinity, if it was only about the Cup car, would have been running higher, right? So yeah, it has something to do with the track. But what do? Do you put down the PJ1 up top? Do you try to clean the bump up a little bit, off of 2? I don't know, man. It's
just, I don't know, Rodney, you can talk, but it's just so crazy to me. We go into that big, wide, sweeping turn 1, and we don't use, you can't even consider going above the 3rd lane of the racetrack at either end, and it's got probably 6 or 7 lanes wide.
I mean, it's an odd-shaped corner.
Yeah, it's
a
hard. It's
really
tight
odd-shaped corner. And, even with the old car, like, we would treat it as, like, the entry to turn 1, we would treat it as a short track. Like, we had all of our short track brake stuff to be able to get into turn 1 and not get loose.
Yeah.
And it's just a weird shape. And, it's hard to get in there without getting loose. And then you're kind of, some laps you're just kind of ending up where you end up because you can't turn the steering wheel. So I don't know how you fix that. Like it's, those races when we put the PJ1 up there were good. But on the other side of it, there was some of those races where, we put the PJ1 down. And I said this a couple of years ago. You put the PJ1 down, and then you put a ton of rubber over top of the PJ1. Well, then it just keeps that section of the racetrack covered up for a year until you go back. And that's not what we need. We need the sun to be beating the crap out of it, So, I don't know what the answer is. I think if you at least got rid of it, if you could just grind just that one bump. I'm not saying grind the whole racetrack or anything, but if you could get rid of that one bump, maybe some guys could move up further and be a little more racy in 3 and 4. Like even 3 is such a weird corner. You're carrying so much speed. We always fought like you just can't get it to turn in there. You're loose on one end, and you can't get it to turn into turn 3. So you're having to lift because of that. So when you get a run on somebody, you can't carry it in there because it won't turn.
It is the most difficult track for us to
really
dial in by far.
And maybe that's a good thing. It just drives me insane. I mean, I remember the first year we went there, I forget, I think it was McMurray after the repave, and he just drove off into one like a normal arc and spun right out. And then Danny went out and did the same thing. And then we were all like, as soon as you got to the start finish line, you just hugged the grass line and rode into one as low as you possibly could. It was so crazy to watch. And then like there was restarts. I mean, it's maybe it's a good thing. It's got different characteristics than any other mile and a half. It's just. I just get concerned with the fact that if the end of the race was good because of all the that was happening. The restarts were exciting, but I felt like the stages, like Larson, I thought the 45 was as good as Larson, but couldn't really do anything with him. The 45 was busting through but at the first stage, but only because he had a tire advantage. So I mean, I'm just worried that if you take that tire advantage away at some point, where you're going to go back to where we can't pass each other.
But they're putting it in our hands to make those decisions to create the race, and so it's. Sometimes the racetrack forces us to do things, right? When you have a normal racetrack that has grip, and it's like everyone's going to follow suit, right? Because there's no chances to be made, right? Wore out tracks, you're going to go to the back, right? Yesterday's race played into more of the crew chief's hands to make decisions on what needed to be done. I still think it's a good race, Freddie.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I didn't think it was as good as you did, obviously, but
you were up in the back moping. Now you were moping.
I was upset. Maybe if I ran better yesterday.
Yeah.
But yeah, Karsyn, what's got you fired up this week? Anything?
No, it's going to be hard to believe, but really nothing.
Listen, you poor Wyatt gets the short end of the stick around here because doesn't Wyatt winning 2 races get you fired up?
I didn't know if you meant fired up like pissed off. I didn't know fired up excited.
It could be anything.
To me, fired up means angry, but. No, yeah, Wyatt swept the weekend in his off-road truck.
Is there anything Wyatt's not going to race this year? Like this?
What did he do?
An off-road truck.
He's running off-road trucks with Ryan Beat, and they were in Wheatland, Missouri at Lucas Oil Speedway this weekend. And
That's so cool.
He won both rounds, Saturday and Sunday. Johnny Morris was there on Sunday, so that was cool. Johnny's been to a couple of his races, but hasn't gotten to see him run that yet. So, yeah, that little amazes me. Anything he gets in,
I think it's awesome that he's doing different stuff. I think that's good for those kids that are coming up. We had drive anything you can.
With Kyle on here last week, we just talked about that. It's just getting anything. dirt, asphalt, whatever it is. A lot of these guys. Brent Cruz comes to mind. He drove everything.
Yeah.
He's literally driven. I think everything you can. Trans Am cars. The more experience you can get in any kind of race car, the better you're going to be. And Wyatt. Obviously, he's running late models. He ran all the dirt stuff last year. And now he's running a late model last week, right? Dirt late model last week.
Yeah, he ran a dirt late model.
Now he's in an off-road. I saw the video and I'm like, what the hell is this kid doing?
I think the only thing that they're missing is like a Trans Am stuff. Like he hasn't done any road course stuff.
I'm sure it's coming.
I'm sure, it's probably somewhere. It's crazy though. Like we were looking at his schedule because LW and I were tossing around the potential of maybe him running a pro late model, and like his every weekend he's somewhere. I would say he's probably racing 100 and some times over the whole year, which is crazy.
And I listen. This is a good chance for us. Well, I'll do it for you. It's a great call. Obviously, it wasn't directly just you making the call, but the series made a great call to move the start time up the other day because of the weather. And I think you guys just got to halfway in the pro race before it started raining, right? So that's just a really good job for you. So good job of any input you had in that. But just talk about your weekend over there. Obviously, it was challenging, but pretty good races from what I saw. Yeah,
Ace is always a good one. That track's tough on brakes, so it's always interesting to see who's hangs on and who doesn't. But we put the late model stock race first. That way we could get that in. And it was a little bit of a hot mess at times. I thought Connor Hall we saw that earlier, going upside down. But I was happy to see Landon get one. And thankfully the rain held off just in time to get halfway in the pros. And old Rick Ware Racing went back-to-back 2 weeks in a row. Those guys are always fun. Your kids were there all weekend. Luke was like the mayor of the pit area.
What else is new?
Rolling around. But, we had a good weekend. I always love going to Ace. Good crowd there. We switched it from Friday to Saturday this year. But good showing for the rain all in all. Got the races in. Can't really complain.
Rodney, how was Landon's race?
It was good. We had fun all week long. I got to the shop Tuesday morning, and I walked around the corner, and I was like, is this the car we're running this weekend? Because it was nothing left. No doors, no rear end housing, no truck arms, no nothing. Like it was tore all to hell. And I was like, oh my God. But, it come together nice and showed up, and we weren't great off the truck, but luckily those deals you have time to practice the day before.
Plenty of time.
Too much time.
And we did a good job. We made good adjustments, and it was fast in the race. And Landon is just an incredible kid. I love being around him, and that whole group. Miles, the crew chief on that car, he was my shot guy for a long time. So we have a great relationship. But just going to those car store races are so much fun. And another thing that stood out is how good of a job Ace Speedway did. You walk in the bathroom and even the bathroom door it looked like it was just painted 2 days ago. Some of these short tracks you go to,
It's
it looks like they don't.
Racetrack,
it looks like they don't care.
Yep.
Some of these places, and it's like
You're
all
sitting
you
next to
gotta
a
do,
spider in the bathroom.
Yeah,
It's disgusting.
Just put some paint on some things, make them look pretty. And man, it was such a nice place, and just a great weekend.
Yeah, we went and tested there Wednesday with the 51 with Karsyn and them.
So there's too much practice, but you went and tested.
We had no choice because we
just checking.
Well, yeah, but you have no choice because you're forced to, right?
What? Forced by who?
Because everybody else is.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the problem.
All right.
And we also went with the modified, getting ready for Monadnock, so we ran some laps there. But
So it was to Tommy's personal benefit also, of course.
yeah, so, but you pull in that place. Even the landscaping's it's just a beautiful racetrack.
Yeah.
In the spirit of the upcoming NASCAR All-Star Race at North Wilkesboro, we are excited to host a segment called You're a Star. We will highlight fans that have shared some of the best and worst reviews of our show and enter them into our honorary All-Star fan club. So be sure to buy your tickets for the action-packed NASCAR All-Star Race weekend at northwilkesborospeedway.com.
What a weekend that's going to be from when do we start Thursday? Which, by the
Thursday.
way, your kid, I'm going to smack him.
Which one?
Luke. Like, I thought I was going to get that weekend off. I thought the other guy was going to do the modified race. And then he's like, "You're doing the modified race, right?" I said, "Yeah, I guess I can do it." He said, "All right, can you do the late model race too?" And I'm like, "Well, what day is that on?"
You're going to be with us on Thursday?
So I'll be there Thursday, spawning for Luke. But Thursday, pro race, right? Friday, late model stock.
Yep, we'll practice and qualify both late model stocks and pros on Thursday, which is fun. I love a nighttime qualifying session the night before, and then we'll race late model stocks on Friday.
That's going to be fun. And then obviously the Cup, the NASCAR stuff comes in there, and I think we run the truck race Friday night, right?
Saturday.
Sorry,
Saturday.
Saturday night.
Luke runs that too.
Luke's running the Saturday truck race too? Oh, good. I'm not spotting for
Got
that
a
one.
busy weekend.
He's got a busy week.
But yeah, I mean, looking forward to that. The heat, I think the All-Star heat races are on Saturday night, and then
we qualify on Friday too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's a bit
before us.
from Thursday to Sunday. The modifieds,
modifieds are Sunday.
Sunday we get the race right before the Cup race, which is exciting. So the fans are going to get to see some really good racing on Sunday. Well, all week really.
Yeah.
All week.
Gonna be a really, really fun
It's a
weekend.
great race.
I'm camping all weekend. I'm
Are
going to
you?
get tore up.
I'll bring a sleeping bag.
I
with
think
me.
it's
No,
cool
I got
too.
enough room for you in
They
there.
did the pit crew challenge where everybody gets to participate now.
Yeah.
I think that's cool.
Yeah. That's on Friday before our race, I think. I'm excited.
All right, let's get to some of these. I
See
don't
what
think
they think
looking
about
at
us.
them, I don't know if I want to read any of these fan reviews.
Oh,
but
come
We'll see.
on.
Hopefully, there's a good one in there. Andrew picked these out, so if they all suck, blame him.
Yeah, where's the
all
other
right.
producer?
Where's
Where's the other guy?
Alex? Is he listening
Where's
into
Alex?
this?
He's
Is
upstairs.
he up above?
He's in a better place.
He's in a better place.
He's on the
He
second
took the
floor of the
first week.
building.
Alex is working on something else right now for
Alex
somebody.
wouldn't have picked
So the
these.
first week we're like, "Where's Alex at?" He's like, "Oh, he's up in a better place."
I'm like,
We're
what happened to him?
What happened to this guy?
No, he's just on the second floor.
He's always just upstairs.
He's just up the stairs, literally.
Oh, man. All right, I'll go this first one. Let's see what we got here. Oh, this is good. Deleting. This podcast has only one spotter, that's questionable, and a bunch of unnecessary swearing. Not interested. Good news is he didn't hear it because he deleted it. So, or they, I should say, they didn't hear it.
You can't assume.
Listen, yeah, there's only one spotter because the other spotters are afraid to come on here, and Tommy's on the roof every week anyway, so that doesn't count. So,
Yeah.
so he's good. He replaced
He has
the
no
spotter.
clue.
He's just not. He's up there spotting. He just doesn't get to push the button.
Yeah.
I spotted a Silver Crown car one time, I told you guys. I count.
They have radios?
Tommy, you want to read this
On the
next? Oh no,
miles,
hold
yeah.
on. I'll read it because it talks
you
about
need
you
to
two.
read the next one.
I'm going to have to read this one
Or
because
maybe-
it's about you. So
It's about technically on you guys.
On me.
Thank goodness for Karsyn. She's the only one I can understand. I don't know what these two Yankees are saying. First of all, I don't even have a New York accent anymore. Tommy sounds like he's been sucking helium or has a bad post-nasal drip.
Jesus Christ, I had throat cancer. Give me a break, dude. 8 chemos, 35 35 Holy
The guy had
got a little
cancer
issue.
a year ago, and this
fucking guy don't even feel bad. God almighty.
This guy's coming
my
right for your
God.
throat,
Right,
literally.
bro, yeah. Jesus Christ. Sorry, dude. God almighty. I was almost dead. This guy's breaking my balls. trying to make me feel bad.
Oh my god!
All right, Karsyn, I can't read this next
I
one.
get to
My
read a
eyes
good
are
one?
watering.
Favorite NASCAR podcast next to Denny and Dale's. Don't worry about all of those 1-star reviews.
We don't have any 1-star reviews, and we're better than Denny and Dale.
Yep.
Wow.
Every week, right, Freddie?
Are
Every
you
week.
sure, Freddie?
Every week.
Not,
Every
you want to say
week.
Denny's
Every
the
week.
greatest?
You
Oh,
wanna
Denny
know-
is great. We
You
are
want to know the
phenomenal.
ratings?
I told somebody we got into this
We're
with Travis.
not allowed to talk about the ratings, though, Freddie.
I got into it with Travis the other day. On Travis produces Danny and Dale show. And he said, I thought you said Danny's great. I said, he is great, but we're phenomenal. That makes us one step better.
Period. What else we got? I would ask Tommy to read these, but he didn't.
He probably didn't bring his
can't
glasses.
see. He can't see.
All right, you go to the next one, Tom.
What page we on?
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, sake.
Wait, you should read the second to last one then.
Tommy should? All right, hold on.
Oh,
Wait,
shit.
wait,
Can
wait.
somebody please, for the love of God, number Tommy's pages? That dude is lost every week. Love the show, though. True.
That is accurate.
I
What
can see
page
now,
are we
though.
on?
I can see now.
That was perfect.
Perfect. Yeah, good job.
Which one did we miss there?
At the end of the day.
Go ahead, you can read that.
At the end of the day, you could have a serious drinking game using the words obviously, at the end of the day, and to your point.
Well,
That's all you.
At the end of the day, he's
That
right.
would be me too.
Obviously.
Obviously.
To that point, at the end of the day, that guy's right.
Yeah, to your point, next.
Phenomenal review.
It's a phenomenal review.
Might as well add what page are we on into that drinking game, too.
All right, this is I think the last one for this week. Me. Why the haven't I seen DBC yet this season? Also me. Not subscribed. Whoops, sorry. Well, hopefully by now you are subscribed, and we thank you for I think that might be the only kind review in there.
We got
I
a
don't think
favorite
that was- I
next
don't
to
think
Denny
that
and
was
Dale.
kind. So I'm like, it sounded like to me he didn't give a
No, I think he just screwed up. I think he's been upset that he missed it, but
He
it's
thought
his
we
fault.
weren't back.
There was one positive. Somebody said, "Thank goodness for Karsyn."
Yeah.
So we'll take that and run with it. I think that's the sentiment among the
Thank
whole
goodness
table
for
here.
Carson.
Jesus.
Amen.
All right, that was a
was
a
fun.
good segment.
I'm
and
excited.
Those are a lot of stars in there.
Do we get to pick which one is in the All-Star fan club of that?
I think so. I think
Yeah,
we should.
the guy that came for Tommy's throat
Yeah,
is
let's-
definitely
yeah,
the
That
guy.
was, yeah.
Yeah, he won today.
Yeah, that was.
I wish you'd get
Yeah,
together
yeah.
over there.
Oh, poor Tommy. All right. Well, I'm sure we'll have some more giggles here in a
No,
second.
not poor
'cause-
Tommy. Tommy's fine. Don't worry about Tom.
Tommy's okay. Listen, if you want to hear poor somebody from that whole situation, it was the poor ladies in the room when Tommy was getting his chemo treatments.
Yeah,
because
oh,
the that he said that these old ladies were turning as red as that Budweiser hood. I was sitting there like, I got to leave. I was blushing. Everybody in the room was blushing. The poor doctor was. I wish there's no way I could tell you on this podcast anything that he said in that room, but we had the doctor blushing, and I can only imagine what that guy's seen in his day.
Well, I caught him off guard on that comment because it was a perfect.
It was,
But he knew exactly what I meant. That's why he blushed.
well, just listen. You can imagine. Tommy had throat cancer, so you can imagine what he said.
It was. I actually brought that whole group coffee and drinks the other day because, I get a big thing of coffee because I was in that room for 3 months, and there's a lot of struggling patients there. So every now and then I'll bring. I'm kind of nice sometimes. I'll bring the nurses some drinks, and I bring the patients some coffee and stuff because keep them going. It's pretty upsetting because probably half those people that were in treatment with me passed away, ended up passing away over time. So, you don't get close to those people, but you understand what they went through. So, to this guy's point here, yeah, I do suck helium now, but I got a bad case of nasal drip. Yeah, but I'm alive.
Put it on a T-shirt.
Oh, speaking of T-shirts, how'd you get that T-shirt? Do we
Yeah.
want to talk about that?
I told
that.
you. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Being a girl goes a long way.
Yeah. Jack's been hard. He charges everybody the same price.
Oh.
And she got a discount for some reason. We don't know why.
Can't figure it out.
All right. Well, that was fun. Thanks to our friends at SMI for sponsoring this segment. And make sure you go get your All-Star Race Weekend tickets, NorthWilkesBoroSpeedway.com.
Yeah, special shout out to Marcus. I know he's a big fan of the show.
Thanks, Marcus.
Hey, it's Dale Earnhardt Jr., and our new Stars, Stripes, and Beers collection drops tomorrow, May 6th, on the Dirty Mo merch store. We've got your go-to gear for summer with tanks, tees, and beach towels and more. Check it all out at shop.dirtymomedia.com.
It's time for Reaction Theater, where fans can call in and voice their opinions from this weekend's race. How many calls we got, Andrew?
We have a bunch, yeah, and there were a bunch of people calling in. A lot of Kyle Busch fans that.
Oh, yeah.
Rowdy
Nights.
Nation.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right, let's get into it.
Those poor Kyle Busch fans had all the candles lit, the wine poured, lights low, bed ready, and now once again, blue balls. They may never see their wife's boobs again. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. They didn't die. I mean, God. I mean, they might have. I don't know how bad that can get backed up, but yeah.
Jesus
Poor
Christ.
guys. It was so funny. I looked at Tommy and I'm like, this might be the day. Guy comes on the show and he wins right away. I'm like, we'll be perfect for the show tomorrow. And then
That's still
that
perfect
damn
for
bump.
the show.
That damn bump. Yeah. Yeah, we dragged this on a few more weeks
Oh, yeah.
now.
Yeah.
My goddamn baby, I ain't crying all day. Now you hear him? Yeah, you hear him? It's because Joey Logano just won this race. God damn it, I hate that.
Even the kid's not a Logano fan.
Wow.
I used to there was I forget the name of the website, but there was a shirt I used to get everybody because I'm a big Mets fan, and it was all my friends that are, from New York that were Yankees fans, and there was like a onesie that said I can't even walk yet, and I already hate the Yankees.
Hey, I got an idea for the All-Star race. How about giving Marcus Smith a red button to push, and when he pushes the button, the Jaws theme plays and Kris Wright comes out and sees how many of the field he can junk.
Yeah, we should. Yeah, we should put him in the front of the
Just
field.
like that. What was that? I remember back in the day, it used to be like a jam car somewhere. Like some of the racetracks had a race where they like send out like a police car, and it would just be the jam car, and it would just run there. Maybe that's what he. Maybe
That's
his calling.
Yeah.
Maybe
That's his calling.
He's the jam car.
Yeah, I like that.
God Almighty.
I swear to God, if I have to hear my husband sing the Ride the Dente song again, I'm going to make sure that somebody puts Carson Hocevar and my husband in the bathtub with a toaster.
Oh, yeah.
I guess is that a commercial that plays all the time or something?
Yeah, it is.
Rodney knows that now.
Very well.
Rodney's got a good taste of it. The
I
last
hear that
couple weeks.
commercial one more time. You know he was on edge as it was, not being there. How was your wife? How did your wife deal with everything yesterday?
Good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did she leave you alone?
I think she left the house
Yep.
and went and played tennis. just
Exactly.
Just get away
All
from
day
it.
long.
To leave an audio message 24/7, you can call our number at 704-802-9572, and we will play the best ones each week on the show. All right, it's time for Ask DBC. You can send in your questions on X each week using hashtag AskDBC. And both of these are actually for Rodney. One of them's from a Reaction Theater caller. Rodney, what did you think of the Run What You Brung idea for the All-Star race?
Well, I think there's different ways of looking at that. I think it would have been a lot of fun, but you can't go into like modifying chassis and doing all this stuff. I've heard some of the people talking about some of it, but on the other side of it, it would have been neat to do some things. Like I remember like the All-Star race in 2006. I treated it as Run What You Brung. And it was really,
It
really
was Run What
fast.
Rodney brung.
Yeah. But, I think anything like that, just taking the plates off of them, it seems like every engine group is saying something different. I've heard one engine group, they took the plate off and everything was perfectly fine. They felt comfortable doing it. And then I heard another that didn't feel comfortable doing it. So I don't know. I would just love to see something different.
It was just so interesting to me last week where it was just so, I feel like everybody that I talked to got a different set of rules for what the Run What You Brung was. Danny was talking about how, you were going to spend $2 million on modifying every part of the car, trying to make it lighter, altering the chassis, like you said. Kyle was talking about they were going to open up the motors. Tommy had a different list of things that they were going to be able to work on. And then Mike Ford comes out on their show and he's talking about like, nah, none of that was actually on the table. We were just going to take away the ride height rule and let you take the underbody off, which nobody would have done.
Which means all the other which means you would have had to do all the other stuff. But yeah, I mean, look, we wouldn't have had to modify the chassis. We just had to take the bump stops off the shocks.
Yeah,
we wouldn't have had to do anything to the chassis. I mean, if they opened up the shock rules, hey, open up the engines, something that wouldn't have cost us anything.
No,
right?
I don't think so.
Right?
But
Those things wouldn't have cost us anything. Bring softer tires. Keep hounding on it, but that's what's making the racing. But still, it's. And everyone's like, well, if someone finds something, then we can use it. Well, Rodney, do you think if you found something, you would let anybody else know what you did and not apply it to the next week's coming down the road and learning? Come on. I mean.
I think it's funny you said that about 2006 because I feel like every week is basically, everybody's trying to make it run, especially the All-Star race when the tech is tech. You're not losing anything really by getting busted with anything. But yeah, I mean every week they're trying to get some run what you brung involved. I mean I told somebody one time a fan was asking me questions and I was like, if you look down there's probably not a car on the grid that's 100% legal because somebody said they just can't cheat them up anymore and I'm like, well, there's I'm sure they're still massaging everywhere they can. It's just the box is a lot smaller these days, I guess. But
I mean you add up all the little things, it matters, but again it takes money to get those things to add up, right? So
Jordan Bianchi wrote an interesting article on teams electing to use or not use code words. Rodney, where did you stand on using code words for pit stops?
I hated them. I really did. I think we got kind of hounded into trying that one time with Kevin, and I think he got confused on what we were doing, and the pit crew guys got confused on what we were doing, and then we were just like, we're not doing it anymore. But
did you use words and the code word was to be in place of what?
So you use
2 tires and 4 tires.
2 tires. Like the 3 stops is 4. Either staying out, 2 tires, 4 tires.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, I don't know about anybody else, but our code words will be a blanket topic or something like that, and then you use words that are related to that topic, which it sounded like Denny. So this is coming up because of Denny's confusion yesterday. Denny got lost on a code word, and it sounded like maybe they were using sport teams or football teams, and they said Cowboys, but the Cowboys I think must have related to another code on the list. We're in Texas, so there was probably who knows what the other topics were, but it sounded like they probably should have used a different football team. But yeah, so they got confused there and just had to bite the bullet and go to the back. It didn't really matter for their day anyway. But yeah, those code words sometimes I'll never forget one time with Booty. Booty probably is not a big code words guy. He probably never had to use them, back whenever he was on the Geico car or whatever. So the first week we had I don't know what the topic was. Say it was McDonald's, and so you're supposed to say that's related to McDonald's. And we're coming down the first pit stop, and Booty's like, "All right, we're gonna do McDonald's here." And I'm like, "Oh no, we just killed that whole code." It just doesn't matter at some point. Even at that point, I guess 2 or 4 tires, but so early in the race to have a mix up like that, it just seems frustrating. But
that would confuse the out of me.
It's easy to get confused.
Really
sure.
easy.
All right. Show Hall of Fame will nominate somebody each week, and the fans will vote on who gets inducted. Last week, Denny and C-Bell, they won. I was going to nominate this. Connor Hall going damn near airborne at Ace. That could technically.
Ran right over the poor guy.
Speaking of shows, I mean, I know it's not your decision, but I've seen some people complaining about some non-calls against the house cars this weekend.
Oh.
Look, Connor Hall was a hazard. Was a hazard going down the front straightaway at that speed. Caden Quapples, same thing. And also, Connor never stopped rolling. Unfortunately, sucked that those were the numbers that were on the side of the cars, but y'all can all the way off because it was honest call.
Well, I'm just saying.
Period.
I didn't
That's
see
all
it.
I have to say about that.
I didn't see it. I just saw.
I got chewed the hell up on the internet yesterday. I'm sick of it.
But I think we have to probably put Gio on the list. Ruggiero that was a bit of a show, clipping the grass and wiping out a bunch of trucks.
Yeah.
I'll tell you who else probably belongs on it, and I feel bad for him. I feel bad for the race team, really, is Fincham, Chad Fincham, just kind of running around there, just making laps, and somehow piled into that wreck that we were in. Pepper, I listened back to the audio. Pepper was doing a good job of just check up. You're last in line. There's a big wreck in front of you. Just stop. What? I don't even know why you're trying to drive through the wreck, but he ended up just piling into Bowman, I think it was, late, literally the last car through, and just the hole closed up that he was aiming for. But I would say he probably gets a spot. Obviously, Kris Wright gets a spot. Gio. and then maybe the cars to a wreck there. Or McMurray feeding a kangaroo was probably.
That was funny.
I almost fell over. I mean, with his germ issues that he has, and he's. I almost fell over. I'm like, there's no way. That's got to be Photoshop.
Yeah.
Got to be. There's no way that he's doing that.
I
bet you he took 4 showers when he got home last night. I guarantee you.
I looked up on my TV and I was like, holy is that Jamie McMurray with a kangaroo? Like I had a double take.
Oh, I guarantee he used every baby wipe there was.
Somebody tagged me in it for show, and I didn't know like the clip starts and it's not on Jamie. It's like panning across the infield, and then they're coming. I'm like, oh, there must be somebody on top of this bus that's doing something stupid. Then I see it, I'm like, oh, what the hell is that?
And why do they have a
What is he
kangaroo
holding
in Texas?
At the racetrack.
Texas. The kangaroos live in Texas?
Yeah, they got a bunch of them down there.
They do?
I don't know.
I
I imagine they're all in Australia.
where did that come?
Yeah, where did it come from? Where did the kangaroo come from?
What's the reason for it?
God.
Part of the trophy? What? Did the winner win that?
Yeah, that was They gave.
You got a kangaroo and a cowboy
Joey's
hat.
got a kangaroo now.
According to
Congratulations.
Google, while not native in Texas, kangaroos can be found in some ranches and in wildlife sanctuaries
the
across the
racetrack.
state.
And at
at the
Texas
racetrack.
Motor Speedway.
I can find a lot of things in New York too, but kangaroo's not one of them.
All right, so we're nominating Kris Wright.
No, just Kris Wright. I don't even. None of that is even
Kris Wright,
close to him.
Gio. Did we say Connor Hall?
Kris Wright.
And Kris Wright again.
You can take Fincham off of there and put the kangaroo on.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't
all
want.
right.
They've already tore up a car running dead last. We don't need to make their day any worse.
Jamie and the kangaroo. All right. Well, remember to go vote on our show Hall of Fame Twitter poll on who you want to see be inducted into the show Hall of Fame this week. I have a feeling I know who it's probably going to be.
The thing is going to be, can he beat his number from
The previous
the
two
first,
times?
The first race. Maybe you should spot for him. That would go well.
That would.
That would go really, really well.
All right.
You didn't
Green
have-
flag, pull in. I see smoke. Pull in.
Luke's down there with his suit on.
Oh, man. All right. Let's go to DVC picks. Tommy, you won. Dub number 2.
Now I know why you like this race so much.
Yeah, right, baby.
Now it's starting to make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who'd I pick?
Larson, I
Let me
think.
put my glasses on. Oh, yeah. Right.
We have a new twist this year, so Rodney, you'll get to pick one as well. Freddie, you go first.
Yeah, good job. I wiped out my own pick. My guy drove in the fence and cleaned
Rowdy
up. Baldwin.
Nation and myself were severely let down this week.
Where the hell are we going?
Kansas.
Kansas. I'm going to take my boss.
Wait, which
you
one?
get Danny Hamlin.
Okay, that's fine, it's fine. Because I'm going to take your driver.
Wait. You don't go.
Yes, I
Yes,
do.
she
No, you
does.
don't.
Oh, never
Oh, no,
mind.
Rodney goes. So, Rodney,
So who do I get
the
to
highlighted
pick?
ones are you can't pick. Other than that, it's all, that list over there.
These
So
I
anybody,
can't pick.
the gray one you can't pick.
I'm going with Seabell.
That's a good one.
I'm going to go with Bubba, I think.
That's
Good pick.
That's a good pick.
Isn't he decent at Kansas? Didn't you
gotta
tell me
win.
that?
Yeah, we got to win there.
All right, Slay.
Now I'm going to have to hold it back just a little bit. So my guy.
Truex.
Oh, help me out here.
Truex. I mean, he was good there. I'll give you that.
Are you joking?
Go with Truex.
Truex. Is he related to Truex?
It's like when,
Truex.
when he said Kurt Busch.
I'm going to go with Ty Gibbs.
Okay.
Ty's been fast lately.
Yeah.
So where are we going this week? I don't even.
Kansas.
We just talked about this.
Literally just said that.
We got truck no Xfinity. Xfinity's off 2
Cup.
weeks. Truck. Luke racing.
Yep, Luke
Yeah.
runs the Mohawk Northeast Store Sport number 66.
How does Charlotte test go?
Went well. Yeah, he was good. Yeah, we got simulation all week, pit stop practice all week, get him prepared. He's been watching film, taking notes. He's got some film study tomorrow with somebody and working on some things. So, yeah, he's all-out effort, man.
Is it your other adopted son?
Yeah. Yeah. That was yelling at me
He
yesterday.
was yelling at everybody yesterday.
Yeah.
That's good. No modifieds this week? Smart Tour
No.
No.
No, Wilkesboro for the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour.
is the next one.
Yep.
Carson,
Same for us.
you're off.
We're off this weekend. We're going to spend the weekend with my mom for Mother's Day.
Oh, yeah.
And
I didn't
next-
realize it's Mother's Day this week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
poor Beth.
No kidding.
Is she going to Kansas?
Yeah, well, she's like, well, I'm going to maybe fly home Sunday morning to, like, spend the day by myself.
Good for her. Good for her. She
I'm
should.
like, you can do whatever you want. Just let me know so I can figure out your travel, right?
What do you got going on this weekend, Hot Rod?
I'm off. I think I'll just stay
Hang
at
out,
home.
right? Relax.
Yeah, just hang out at home. Stare at the wall and ceiling.
Don't do it, man. Go have some fun. I'm telling you, go do it. Take advantage of it.
I bought a new UTV in January, and it's still on the trailer when I picked it up from the dealer.
Yep.
So I probably should go ride it.
Yeah.
But we'll figure out something to do.
I'm sure. Get out there on the boat.
Yeah, little
Enjoy
Parker
yourself.
boats. Yeah.
Yeah,
For sure.
perfect. With prep for Kansas Cup wise, I mean, it's just normal.
Same thing we do every week, man. Get them ready. Simulation.
I love Kansas.
Yeah.
Always have.
That's why I picked it for Luke for his first mile and a half, because it's probably the safest mile and a half that we race. Most grip, multiple grooves, probably the most you can learn without making a mistake. So
Qualifying up top there with these next gen cars is insane.
Yeah.
Like insane. And like Seabell, oh my God, to watch him do it, time after time. Every time we go there, man, he is just wide open. I mean, you don't even see a blip in the throttle, and it's like, oh my God.
It's so crazy when you're on the roof to watch. You're watching it, looking at SMT, and like the first guy that does it, you're like, he didn't lift. It's like he didn't even consider lifting. Actually, like, it's so wild to just watch it. Just the throttle trace just stay buried on 100%.
And you saw that in qualifying on Saturday. You seen how qualifying progressed. One guy went a little bit further. The one guy went a little further. And soon as the 54 did it, everyone after him just was like, "Holy cow, we got to go in that deep."
Yeah,
And
there was a handful of guys that got out and said, like, I underdrove it.
Yeah.
There was more there. There's more grip in 1 and 2 than I thought, because that was really your lap was 1 and 2.
Yeah. Yep.
With 3 and 4, you were pretty much going to run it wide open, but all your speed was going to be made up how you attacked 1 and 2.
54 fixed it. As soon as the 54 did it,
I was up there. We were getting ready to go, or I don't think we had gone yet, and I was kind of sitting down on the bench, and I don't know what the hell was going on. I heard Tommy go, "Holy."
The winner. And I was like, there we go. There's the new mark right there.
Hocevar's lap stood out to me.
Yeah.
He drove
I knew he was
going to.
I knew he was gonna run a team. I'm like, he's gonna run a team.
You've got a little bit behind the scenes look at Karsyn this year. Now, a lot of people are really critical about how he races on the racetrack, but he feels like somebody to me that prepares a lot. I know Tyler Green, his spotter, does a lot of analytical work preparing for the weekend and stuff. This year, all year, I feel like that team's had a lot of speed. They just don't get the finishes. Sometimes it's Carson's fault, sometimes it's not. But, I feel like they attack the weekend with a lot of speed pretty much every week now.
Yeah, and I got to see both sides of it racing for that Rookie of the Year deal last year, with Josh and versus Karsyn. And so, every week you're kind of judging yourself off of each other and, what do we need to do better and all those things. And then, going over there, Carson's crazy, right? He's funny as he can be, and he's late to almost every meeting and all those things that you would expect.
How old is he? He's young, right?
He's young,
19,
yeah.
They said he was the youngest pole winner in the history of Texas or something, or cup pole winner.
But, man, he is so fast. He is extremely fast, and he is not scared of anything. And, that's kind of where this car has led people. You have to be that way in a way to be fast. So, I honestly think he's a great kid. He has a huge future ahead of him. Yeah, there's some things he needs to clean up here and there, but I think every kid that grew up in this little span has things that they can clean up, right? So, he's going to go a long way. He's going to continue to learn, but, man, he's got speed.
That's half the battle, or more than half the battle, really, these days. Anyway, Rodney, thank you for stopping by. Now that maybe you got some free time on your hands, we'll bring you in here anytime we need you.
I'll get a little more comfortable and talk a little more. All those fun things.
It's good, man. But anyway, we will see everybody out. And by the way, saw a load of DBC fans at the dirt track this
Wow.
week. I mean,
Dang.
that's where that's where I usually run into. I mean, obviously it helps that they're racing at Texas, so there's a lot of crossover fans there. But that's where I got this hat. There's one of the guys, Larry. He stopped me in the pits and was like, "Hey man, I just wanted to give you this hat and say hey, appreciate the show." And there's a bunch of I kind of weaseled my way over trying to get Larson to come on. We're working
on him, man.
We're working him. He's loosening up. I don't know that we're there yet or even close yet, but we're.
I think if we can get Jeff on first.
Jeff Gordon? Yeah.
I think if we get him on first, I think he'll give the green light to everybody else.
Yeah. I mean, I think he was dead against it for a long time, and now he's loosening up just a little bit. I went over. I said, "Man, I just showed up at a high limit race. The least you could do is come do the podcast."
Yeah.
So,
Next time I see him at Millbridge, I'll work on it.
Ease on him a little
too.
bit.
Yeah.
But he softened just a little bit this time, so we're gonna just keep prodding him, and maybe we'll get him in here. But yep. Anyway, so good to see everybody. Rodney, again, thank you for coming in. We will see everybody at Kansas this week. We're out.
See ya.